Hey, it's Peter Boland again, welcoming you this time to episode 5 of our deep inquiry into the wonderful ideas of Nisargadatta Maharaj as recorded in this volume called I Am That. He's one of the most potent non-duality teachers to come out of the Indian tradition, the tradition known as Advaita Vedanta. And his down-to-earth teachings recorded here by Maurice Friedman, transcribed and translated into that really wonderful book published in 1973, is the source of our content for this video series. I can think of no other teacher who speaks more plainly, more directly to ordinary folks like us. Again, this is a householder lineage, meaning this is pretty highfalutin philosophy for regular folks like us who paying rent, maybe mortgage, maybe you have a marriage, maybe you have kids, you have a job, trying to pay the bills and keep everything going, and you're not a specialist. You don't have time to meditate all day in the forest or study the ancient scrolls in a far-off monastery. But it is your birthright, nevertheless, to long for union, to participate in that which is real. And that's what we're up to here in this video series. So let's jump right back in. Nisargadatta wrote or spoke that the innermost light, shining peacefully and timelessly in the heart, is the real guru. All others merely show the way. So again, this is his idea of the Sadguru, S-A-D-G-U-R-U, Sad from the Sanskrit word Sat, meaning timeless, changeless truth or being, true transcendental being, and Guru simply meaning teacher. So this is the bedrock of Nisargadatta's entire project. That's why he's called Nisargadatta. Nisargadatta means, Nisarga means nature. This natural, there's nothing exotic about this. You just have to go into your own essential nature, and there it is, that which you say you seek. But the trick is, it's what you already are. Your mind is creating the fog that prevents you from seeing what you always have been, are right now, and will forevermore continue to be. The role of teachers is always on all of our minds, and teachers are great, and books are great, videos, all this stuff is helpful. That's how we all got a little further in our own spiritual journeys. But ultimately now it's time to take the training wheels off, and that's what he's trying to help his students do. The innermost light, the best guru, is right in here. The other gurus are just pointing you toward it. He then says, there is no goal nor a way to reach it. You are the way and the goal. Let me say that one again. There is no goal nor a way to reach it. You are the way and the goal. So again and again through these videos and through this text, we've been hearing Nisargadatta say over and over again to this endless parade of seekers that come to his little smoke-filled apartment above his tobacco shop with the tape recorder rolling. That's how we have all this stuff. This same idea over and over again, that abandon the idea of seeking, abandon the idea of there being a path or a method, and just sit still and realize that you are that. And it begins, like Socrates' philosophy, with the admission of ignorance. Here's another line. The very admission I am ignorant is the dawn of knowledge. An ignorant man is ignorant of his own ignorance. To know that you do not know and do not understand is true knowledge, the knowledge of a humble heart. This is a true perennial truth spoken by wisdom teachers the world over. Lao Tzu in the Tao Te Ching, those who know don't say, and those who say don't know. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. Again, in the philosophy of Plato, writing about his dead teacher, who comes to realize he's the wisest man in Athens for one reason. He's the only one who is not claiming to know what he does not know. He's willing to utter the three holy words, I don't know. Boy, could we use more of that in the world or what? So here it is now from the mouth of this teacher. The very admission, I am ignorant, is the dawn of knowledge. Then he goes on to say, when you recognize the I, the self, the small ego self, when you recognize the I as it is, a bundle of desires and fears, and the sense of mine as embracing all things and people for the purpose of avoiding pain and securing pleasure, you will see that the I and the mine are false ideas, having no foundation in reality. Created by the mind, they rule their creator as long as it takes them to be true. When questioned, they dissolve. Wow. So the whole idea of ego is a construct of the mind that turns everything around people and things into possessions, of which it has many judgments, positive and negative. It's kind of exhausting, isn't it? But as soon as you begin to inquire into the question we've been hearing through many of these videos, who is doing this judging? Who is witnessing this ego and thinking about this ego, as you and I are right now? That's the witness within. What if we shifted our identification there? And as he just said, if you do that, the ego goes away because it was never real to begin with. Naturally, teachers of awakening like Nisargadatta are sometimes asked to comment on their own awakening. Like, what's it like? What happened? How did it happen? How was it different than the way you were before, et cetera, et cetera. So people were asking him that, and here's what he said. When I awakened, he said, the mind ceased producing events. The ancient and ceaseless search stopped. I wanted nothing, expected nothing, accepted nothing as my own. There was no me left to strive for. Even the bare I am faded away. The other thing I noticed was that I lost all of my habitual certainties. Earlier, I was sure of so many things. Now, I am sure of nothing. I read that passage over and over and over, because I feel as I sit with those words, something unlocking inside of me. Something releasing, like it says in the Katha Upanishad, when all the knots that strangle the heart are loosened. And when I sit with these teachings, I feel my own knots loosening. That's different than getting the answers to all of your questions, isn't it? What if wisdom has nothing to do with answers to your questions? What if wisdom is content-free? What if wisdom is moving past the place where your questions have power? He goes on, the witness is merely a point of awareness. It has no name and form. It is like the reflection of the sun in a drop of dew. The drop of dew has name and form, but the little point of light is caused by the sun. That's what brilliant teachers do. They, again, draw from our own experiential realm. We've all seen the reflections of sunlight in dewdrops. And he says, let's use that everyday garden example to try to analogously make the point that this inner witness, or this awareness that we keep talking about, that meditation, that through meditation we hope to begin to identify with the awareness and not with the ego mind. And once I begin to identify with the inner witness, I begin to realize my freedom. But then he says, okay, now here's an even deeper layer of wisdom. Don't attach to the inner witness. The inner witness isn't even a thing. It's not a name. It's not a form. Don't say, I'm the inner witness. I am enlightened now. Whoa, hold up, stop. Let go even of the concept of inner witness. This is all just talk designed to move us past the place where talk has meaning. The map is great, but once you arrive at the destination, you don't need that map anymore. You don't need the idea of inner witness anchoring you down to some ideology. Yeah, Vedanta, it's the only religion that's true. All the others are crap. If you start to hear that, run. Then he goes on to say, just as every drop of the ocean carries the taste of the ocean, so does every moment carry the taste of eternity. Isn't he just wonderful? Don't you wish he had an X account? I guess Twitter, X, whatever social media platform people are using now. Don't you wish he was around and he had one of those? Because that is an imminently, to put it in the old way of saying, tweetable thing to say. Just as every drop of ocean carries the taste of the ocean, so does every moment carry the taste of eternity. He says, all knowledge is a form of ignorance. What? I know, hold on. It sounds like gibberish, right? Or he's just saying white is black and false is true and hot is cold. No, not exactly. Hold on. Let me try it again. All knowledge is a form of ignorance. The most accurate map is yet only paper. All knowledge is in memory. It is only recognition, while reality is beyond the duality of the knower and the known. It's just another way of saying what we've been saying all through these earlier videos. He's asking us to kind of stop worshiping at the altar of human knowledge, because knowledge is a form of ignorance in this sense. I know, he's speaking in a very provocative way. Knowledge is a form of ignorance in this sense that knowledge is just memory of the past. It's a beautifully organized lattice system of cubbyholes of previous concepts and analogies and logical chains of argumentation and hypotheses and theorems and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's amazing and it's so useful, but it is just a bunch of conceptual abstractions gathered from previous experiences that we are no longer in. And in that sense, all knowledge is kind of a dusty museum of the past. And in that sense, it isn't the same thing as concept-free realization of the depth reality that we are, which cannot be known in that sense, but it can be experienced in this sense, yeah? In Buddhist philosophy, Nagarjuna talks about ordinary knowledge and prajna, or transcendent knowledge. I feel like a little bit of that is going on here. Ordinary knowledge is conceptual. It's It's made up of ideas and words and definitions and perceptions, and it's great. But now we're talking about prajna, which is a higher kind of realization and awareness that is of another category. It's not just more knowledge. It's not just more regular knowledge. It's of an entirely different order of being. It is the realization of oneness. It's not something you know, it's something you are. And look at how the language both helps us a little, but mostly gets in the way. You need not reach out for what is already within you, he says. Your very reaching out makes you miss it. Give up the idea that you have not found it and just let it come into focus of let it come into the focus of direct perception here and now by removing all that is of the mind. Here, it's fun to watch him work for me. It's fun to hear him again and again and again reformulate the same rather simple idea for each new pilgrim that sits before him with yet another complicated philosophical question. You can't reach out for what is already within you. Why reach out here for what's already in here? In fact, your very reaching out makes you miss it, he says. Give up the idea that you have not found it and just let it come into the focus of direct perception here and now by removing all that is of the mind. He goes on, you do not know what you are, and therefore you imagine yourself to be what you are not. You, he says, are supreme reality beyond the world and its creator, beyond consciousness and its witness, beyond all assertions and denials. Once you begin to experience the peace, love, and happiness which need no outer causes, all your doubts will dissolve. He says, to know that you are a prisoner of your mind, that you live in an imaginary world of your own creation, is the dawn of wisdom. It never gets old for me, the hearing again and again that you are the supreme reality beyond the world and its creator, beyond consciousness and its witness, beyond all assertions and denials. And once you begin to realize that, a certain stillness takes the place of all of that seeking, all of those agitated questions. Now, let's turn our attention again to the question of gurus, teachers. He says, a guru is like a milestone. It is natural to move on from one to another. Each tells you the direction and the distance, while the Sadguru, remember that word from before? Sadguru, S-A-D-G-U-R-U, Sad from the Sanskrit Sat for eternal, changeless, transcendent being. So the Sadguru is the true teacher. Your own divine nature is your Sadguru. So that sentence again. Gurus are like milestones. It is natural to move on from one to another. Each tells you the direction and the distance, while the Sadguru, the eternal guru, is the road itself. Once you realize that the road is the goal, and that you are always on the road, not to reach a goal, but to enjoy its beauty and wisdom, life ceases to be a task and becomes natural and simple, in itself an ecstasy. This is the power of Nisargadatta's teachings, that when we begin to practice and embody these these wisdom insights, we begin to experience the path itself as the destination. The whole concept of seeking and paths and journeys and methods and even teachers, all of that sort of shimmers out of existence, leaving in its emptiness room enough for the wisdom of our own essential natures to reveal itself in the self-illuminated consciousness that we are. We have a ways to go, even though there is no journey. I'll see you in the next video as we continue to dive deeper into the wisdom of Nisargadatta Maharaj and the beautiful way that he is provoking in all of us our own awakening. I'll see you on the other side.